This is one of the few times on this channel I'll be able to justify doing up my hair like this. Like, it's not some kind of I don't care about my appearance thing. It just sort of fits with the vibe of the show. You know, it's like the emo style thing. So, let's talk about this show. The Sandman is now streaming on Netflix. That's an impossible statement in itself. Do you have any idea how long they've been trying to adapt the Sandman comics to the screen? It's honestly one of those pipe dreams. 1 in a million shots. It's never gonna happen. And for a long time, that was the case. But as every unfilmable adaptation, so-called, has been in the past, every once in a while, someone does eventually take a swing at it. Whether or not it goes well, that's up to the viewers and, of course, up to the creators and the people involved in making those things. But the Sandman was always one of those things that was just, it was so hard to pull off. And if you've read the comics, regardless of how many that you've read, it's somewhat crazy. Like, any creator getting their hands on this project, it just seems like, how do you do this? And it seems like a lot of people were involved in this and a lot of love and care went into it. In this show, you follow Dream, played by Tom Sturridge, who, after years of being imprisoned by a mortal wizard, sets about to reclaim his lost equipment. In the time that he's been gone, however, things have changed considerably, and it seems some of his siblings and some of his creations have been wreaking some havoc and doing some stuff that they should not do. This is a show that I was actually very excited for because I just couldn't wait to see what they'd done. Again, an adaptation you've been wondering if they'll ever do. And so I'm going to cut to the chase here and say that I am very pleased to report this, that the Sandman honestly does a pretty great job. This is an adaptation that actually comes spectacularly close to being one of the best comic book adaptations ever made. It's genuinely remarkable how much they've taken the time and effort to try and capture what the comics have, which is very tough because so much of that is the comics. And so it's very hard to be able to do that unless you have the right people working on it. And that extends to everybody involved over here. And you have actors in this who are being able to sell you that and being able to add to that emotional depth and those thought-provoking elements incredibly. Let's talk about Tom Sturridge as the Sandman himself. I don't think you could have picked a better Lord Morpheus if you tried. This guy is pitch perfect casting. Like, every time he's on screen and he is talking as Morpheus, it's just, this is the Sandman. This is him. This is pitch perfect work right here. And I'm so glad that they went with this choice. And I think he was fantastic in it. Everybody, honestly, when it comes to even the supporting cast, is doing a really great job. I thought Boyd Holbrook as the Corinthian was really great. I thought Gwendolyn Christie as Lucifer Morningstar was an inspired choice. Like, if they had to do some changes here and there in terms of how the characters are, and since they did one here with Lucifer in making Lucifer a woman, I would probably pick Gwendolyn Christie too. Just, it's the perfect choice for that character. They have done a few things like that throughout this entire season, by the way. They have changed up some characters here and there that are different from the comics. Like, you have John Constantine in the comics, and here you have Joanna Constantine, played by Jenna Coleman, who has really just one episode, but it's a scene-stealing episode. Like, she comes in here, she does a great job, and frankly, once her episode was over, I was like, is she gonna come back? She's not gonna come back? She's gonna come back in season 2? Like, she's gonna come back, right? Because, come on. A big shout out, however, I want to give is to David Thewlis, who plays John Dee. Now, if you've read the comics, you know who this character is, but he plays it incredibly well, and there are some scenes with him that are genuinely gut-wrenching. And there's an episode in particular, that being episode 5, 24/7, that absolutely destroys you. This is particularly in episode 5, titled 24/7, which might be the emotional zenith of the show as far as I'm concerned. This is a spectacularly done hour of television, which is so fascinating and weird in the comic, that particular part of the story. Pulling it off is insane. But they do. and I was amazed. They added a lot more to it. There are things, of course, that they have changed along the way. It's not just character appearances or genders. It's also just the structuring of it, the time, because the comics were based in like the 70s and 80s. This is taking place in present day. There's definitely some, structural differences along the way. And there are certain locations and all that which are different because they don't want to sort of collide with other properties that already exist. And so all of that is fine by me. Those are minor little things. For me, the importance of an adaptation, especially for something like The Sandman, is like I said at the beginning. You gotta capture the spirit of it. You have to be able to capture the vibe of that story and to be able to bring in all of those elements that make it so special. And if you can do that, then the minor changes that you make here and there in terms of like the visual aesthetics of it or in the characters, those are fine as long as you don't forget the core essence of all of those things. And I think the show does a really good job with those. And I think the visuals are fantastic. This is a gorgeous looking show as well. Some really great special effects on display over here. Some moments did look like slightly green screened, like you could tell, like, yeah, that's not as good as the moment before it. But for the most part, I honestly thought it was a visually spectacular show. The production design is immaculate as well. The score is also wonderful. Just this beautiful, soaring, epic stuff that you get, and it's really great. All the writing for the characters, including a lot of Dream's siblings, was really, really great. You get some hints with some of them, like you don't get full exploration, but I assume they're setting up for something down the line with those. So, we'll see what they have to offer in the coming seasons, which I hope we do get to see. I'm hoping this gets renewal, but then with the way Netflix is half the time, I'm not even sure what gets renewed anymore, like what's the criteria anymore. But the numbers on this seem to be going pretty well in terms of audience viewership and in terms of reviews. So fingers crossed we do get to see that season 2 very, very soon. I can't wait to see where the story goes next. As far as all the episodes go, like I said, they do a really, really good job of adapting the comics to the screen with some changes here and there. Although, when I said structure changes, sometimes that can affect the second half. Because the second half is like all the stuff with the doll's house and all that. And it's good. But I do think it's not quite as well paced as the first half of the season. Like, it's 10 episodes long. I thought the first 5 episodes were concrete, solid stuff. But then the last 5 were also pretty solid, but I think sometimes it's sort of wayward a little bit in terms of like the structuring and all that. That was probably my only issue with the entire season. I thought it could have been a little stronger and tighter, much like the first half was in that second half. But it didn't take away from the second half still being incredibly compelling and incredibly interesting. Episode 6 I thought was fantastic, actually. I should say that. That is unfair if I did not say that. I'm impressed with the fact that they managed to actually pull off a show like this. I can't wait to see what else they do. It was great seeing certain events from the comics brought to life on the screen. The fight that happens between Lucifer in this, and then they changed it up where it's Lucifer fighting Dream in that battle in Hell. I thought that was wonderfully done, and it has the same outcomes, which I thought were great. The lessons that each character learns along the way, all the thematic elements that they're handling in terms of the existentialism of it, the idea of what is life and the various aspects of that and the tragedies that they're having to deal with along the way. All of those things are handled beautifully, and I think a lot of credit has to be given to everybody involved in making this entire thing come to life. And so I cannot recommend it more highly, that is. And I hope you guys check it out. I hope you guys check out the comics as well, because if you haven't, those are quite an experience, and I can't wait to see more from this universe. I'm gonna give The Sandman Season 1 an A-. If it's a little tighter on the second half next time around, I think we got ourselves a great season, honestly. Just a little bit. Overall, though, very satisfied, and I'm really happy with what they did. They actually accomplished the impossible. It's just, it's great to have a good It's just really great to have a good Sandman adaptation finally out there. Like I said, pipe dream for years. I keep repeating that because honestly, it was. Like, it's just I'm happy for everyone. Guys, thank you very much for watching. Look forward to more reviews very soon. As always, if you like this, please do subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the movies.